especially if you are a Detroit Pistons fan. It's a brand new edition of the association. We are presented by Caesars Sportsbook. Mike Yam, Robin Lopez, and of course our coach, David Fizdale. All right, there's a lot to unpack. Pistons right now a 2-0 series lead. If you are new to what we do here on the association in the postseason, as soon as the head coaches, as soon as the star players hit the podium, we'll bring you those press conferences. But I got to tell you, coming off of game number one, I felt like the Cavs could sit here and go, hey, we got a bunch of turnovers that led to points. There was a huge free throw disparity. Harden didn't look his best, but yet it was still close. It was a two-possession game with under a minute to go. We saw some adjustments here, Robin. It didn't matter, man. Like the Pistons, it just feels like they are mentally stronger.
Yeah, mentally and physically stronger. I think they're, you talked about how each of those categories you look at after a game, free throws, turnovers, rebounds. Detroit's winning that battle every single game.
Yeah, they're doing what they do, right? Like they just wear on you. And the big thing that I saw is not only do they wear on you on the defensive end and really pressure you and lean on you and all that, but they pick at your weakest link all night on the offensive end. Like they really do a good job of getting Cade against the worst matchup, and they just keep going at it. And so good that even when the ball swings around the perimeter and that same matchup is in a closeout, that guy that's catching the ball on the closeout knows to drive him. And so they're just constantly putting pressure on your weakest links and forcing you into rotations. And obviously the defense speaks for itself. They held them to 97 points.
Do you want to name check the weak link on the defense?
Tonight it was James Harden.
It was.
Yeah, they really targeted James Harden. They put him in every single situation possible. And they really, really went at him. And then obviously whoever was guarding Tobias Harris in the post tonight, they really settled their offensive game down through Tobias.
Yeah, the three of us are sitting there watching the game, and Coach just keeps saying they're picking on him, they're picking on him, they're picking on him. It felt like possession after possession.
It was. I started counting them, and then I lost count of them.
Yeah, not great. And look, the national conversation with regard to James Harden, we will have that here in just a couple moments. But the reality is this is a tough loss for a Cavaliers team that's going to try to figure things out as this series shifts back to Cleveland. Let's show you what transpired, though, in Detroit. You got two teams that were ideally trying to make some adjustments, more so from a Cavaliers perspective.
Ooh,
that's not good.
For Detroit?
All right, I think there's a couple things that we can unpack here, but I want to start with the Detroit Pistons because I think there's a lot of fans in the NBA that were stomping on the panic button after that first round series, right? Like they're down 3-1. You guys know this from being in the league for as long as you have. People always use that phrase, styles make fights, and I think there's a lot to that. What does it say, though, Robin, as you watch this Pistons team look the way that they've done in these first two games? Now it is, 5 consecutive wins, 6 consecutive wins now in the postseason for them, that what we saw in Orlando might have just been a matchup issue for them.
Yeah, I remember when I was playing with the Bucks, and we had, Giannis, Chris Middleton. It was the year before they won the championship, and it was the pandemic year. I think we were on pace to win 60-some games that year. But the one team we couldn't beat was the Charlotte Hornets. And that was not this year's Charlotte Hornets.
No, that's right.
We would go into Charlotte and we would get waxed. So sometimes there are just those stylistic mismatches. But I mean, you look at the game like tonight, and Detroit just did every single thing right. I mean, they even won the three-point shooting battle, and that's something the Cleveland Cavaliers pride themselves upon.
That's a great
Detroit
point.
hasn't been great at, and they dominated that edge of the matchup. So perhaps this is just a great matchup for them, but man, they're really taking advantage of it.
If Detroit can... Suggs is one of the toughest dudes I've ever seen come into this league.
He's a football player.
Yeah, and they've hung their hat on the last 3 years under Coach Mo's as being one of the tougher teams in the league, and so that
kind of get in your face too.
Yeah, and so when Detroit ran up against them with the healthy Franz, it was like, oh, this is different. This team is not going to back down. This team is meeting us at the line of scrimmage. They had to figure out a lot, and then obviously Franz going out, that doesn't hurt when you lose Franz Wagner. So, but once Detroit figures you out, they just keep going at it and going at it like it's not complicated. And just knowing JB, it's a simplified thing, but he just wears on a spot until it's like picking a scab. Like he just picks out.
That's an old NBA chestnut, right?
Yep.
That play works, go back to it till they stop it, right?
Yeah, you spent some time with this Pistons team back in January. I want to get your take and how this team has really evolved during the course of the season. We'll do that in just a moment, but just getting to the podium right now, JB Bickerstaff. Let's take a listen to what he had to say following a Pistons victory.
JB, you guys led most of the first half, obviously with Fasar and fouls. How are you guys able to settle in the fourth quarter and get hold of the game again once Cleveland made that run in the third?
I think first it started with our defense. You know what I mean? They were kind of comfortable. They had it going in that third quarter. We knew we had to come out and get some stops. And then our closer was a closer.
I know Tobias has been dubbed the unk of the team. He has a ton of playoff experience. How's he kind of just helped you individually the most this season?
Yeah, man, he just was really like my guy. You know what I mean? Like, he really just, all the little things, you know, just talking to me because, you know, it's not easy playing behind the main guy when you're in that position. So just all the little things to keep my mental right, you know what I mean, to stay with it and stay, like, poised through all the ups and the downs and just, even when I'm out there, stay aggressive. You know, man, he keep me on my toes to do the right things.
Dana's kind of in that vein. How have you learned to be able to be patient, especially as you know, maybe the beginning of the first series doesn't go your way, but you really start to string together strong performances? Like, what is it? How have you learned this season to be able to take that on?
I mean, man, that's just, you know what I mean, that's just me. Like, I got to process stuff for myself. Like I say, you can't simulate the playoffs. You can't do that, none. It's my first time going through it, so I knew I wasn't going to be scared or nothing like that. I just had to go through it, and I had to adjust to the intensity, the atmosphere, the physicality. You know what I mean? Like I said, I think early on I was just pressing a little too much. I just had to relax and just play. And once I did that, I knew it was going to be up from there.
Danis, a week ago tomorrow, you guys were down 24 points at the beginning of the third in an elimination game. Now you find yourself going up to, up 2-0 going to Cleveland. What has allowed you guys to get to this point, and what does that speak to just the group's resolve and ability to overcome adversity?
I think Orlando did a really good job of preparing us for this moment. You know what I mean? They came out and they hit us in the mouth first, and they showed us what, you know what I mean, like what it's about, what playoffs is about. So once we got that up under our belt, you know what I mean, we just rolling from there. Like I said, we back to playing Pistons basketball for 48 minutes like we supposed to, and we just trying to keep it going.
Yeah, can you talk about having Cade as a teammate and what's in your mind when you head into a fourth quarter? The first half, he had 5 points and 3 turnovers, but yet I'm sure you guys were thinking, when we hit the fourth quarter, we know. Just describe what that does and, what kind of confidence it gives you knowing that he's there and how he took that quarter over.
Yeah, we know, you know what I mean, we know, like, it's matchups there that he likes and that he can go take advantage of. So we just know if we can do our job on the defensive end, when we get on offense, we know he's going to get us a good look, whether it's by the pass or whether it's by him taking it himself and getting us a good shot, man. I mean, he's been great all year, you know what I mean? MVP candidate for sure. So just having that as a closer, it gives you all the confidence in the world that if you get a stop, we put ourselves in a good position to go down on offense and win the game.
Danis, I mean, I remember talking to you in the regular season. It was one of your first games when you went off. I think Cade was injured at that point. You said, I asked you, are teams making adjustments to you at this point? Because you were kind of a known at that point, right? You're making yourself known. But do you feel that you have to make an adjustment now further in the playoffs? And what might that be already?
To be honest with you, I mean, I don't really think people can keep up with my pace. I mean, my speed, I don't see many people that can stay in front of me. So it's just about me adjusting to the game, not me adjusting to nothing nobody is doing.
Yeah, up 2-0. You expect Cleveland's best punch in this third game. How do you guys allow being up 2-0 to be effectively a source of fuel for the fire rather than comfort?
Yeah, man, we just know just last series we was down 3-1. So we're going to keep swinging. You know what I mean? Our back's still against the wall. The world still don't believe. We still trying to prove something to ourselves. You know what I mean? We set out this year with certain goals in our mind, and we're not there yet. Job not finished. We just came out this series and took care of home court like we were supposed to. So now